Context is everything in every area of life, including understanding why you do what you do, why other people do, understanding your story. And it's the same in reading anything from the Bible. We're reading from Joshua's book today. So here's a little context for what we'll hear about Joshua. He was a junior in the government, if you like, a right-hand man, a military general, and a spy in the late Bronze Age, to put it in context. And his boss, the leader of the people, Moses, names him as his successor. Now Moses, you probably remember, has led thousands of people from slavery in Egypt to a safe place, and the God of these people had spoken directly to him up a mountain, giving the community some basic rules to live by, like don't murder, don't lie, don't steal, which presumably they used to do a lot of because they needed to know it was not good. So there were big shoes for Joshua to fill. So when Moses dies, Joshua has to step up and lead these people whose beloved rescuer, deliverer, founding father had died, gone, end of an era. So what did Joshua need to hear given this background? If I were in his shoes, it's spot on. Maybe it's also what you need to hear today too. So Joshua 1. After the death of Moses, the Lord's servant, the Lord spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' assistant. He said, Moses, my servant, is dead. Therefore, the time has come for you to lead these people, the Israelites, across the Jordan River into the land that I am giving them. Be strong and courageous, for you are the one who will lead these people to possess all the land I swore to their ancestors I would give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the instructions Moses gave you. Do not deviate from them, turning either to the right or to the left. Then you will be successful in everything you do. Study this book of instruction continually. Meditate on it day and night, so you will be sure to obey everything written in it. Only then will you prosper and succeed in all you do. This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go.
You know, I'm not sure that I ever noticed it. Well, I know I didn't notice it the first 20 times that I saw the movie, that Zeke was terrified of pigs. I saw him working on the farm maybe 20 times before I recognized this. But he didn't let that fear stop him from doing what had to be done. You see, when Dorothy fell into the pig pen, well, Zeke found the courage to rescue her, to jump right in and to save her. Here's Zeke and Dorothy even now. And when he staggered to his seat afterwards, he was shook up from the fear, you guessed it, of pigs. Next slide, if you would. Much to the delight of Dorothy and her two companions. You know, Broadway actor Burt Lair is the one who played Zeke, but you'll know him better by his alter ego, the iconic role of the Cowardly Lion in the original film production of The Wizard of Oz. Zeke, before Dorothy is whirled away to the land of Oz by a Kansas tornado, foreshadowed what was to come in his role as the Cowardly Lion. A lot of tough-talking bravado, masking an inner insecurity, a crippling fear. And while I may have missed Zeke's fear the first couple of times I saw The Wizard of Oz as a child, the lion's fear was obvious and on full display from the very beginning. He comes bounding out of the forest, growling and roaring, sending the Scarecrow and the Tin Man quaking. It's one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie, where he's prancing around, you remember? And he says, put him up, just like that. My dad used to say that to me when I was a kid. I'll fight you with one paw behind my back. Love it. And he's just terrorizing the Tin Man, terrorizing the Scarecrow. And it's just about this time that Dorothy slaps him right across the face and calls him a coward and a bully, and it reduces him to tears. And he says to her, "You're right, I am a coward. I haven't any courage at all. I even scare myself. Look at the circles under my eyes. I haven't slept in weeks." And the Tin Man suggests that maybe he should try counting sheep to go to sleep. To which the Lion responds, "That doesn't do any good. I'm afraid of them too." He's afraid of everything, concluding that he's not a real lion at all. And one of the best puns in the entire movie, he says, "I'm not a real lion. I'm just a dandelion." So he joins Dorothy and Toto and Scarecrow and Tin Man on their journey to the Emerald City in hopes that he will be granted from the wizard the courage that he needs. And along the way, he comes to understand that the courage he is seeking is within him all along. To get you up to speed, a couple of weeks ago, I began a series of talks on the Serenity Prayer. And just last week, I spoke about the serenity to accept the things we cannot change. Serenity, an old French word, a meteorological word meaning an unclouded day. Stillness, calm. To achieve serenity, we begin by accepting what we cannot change. People, situations, circumstances, challenges. There are battles you cannot win. Begin by accepting this. Refuse any attempt to deny reality. But don't stop there. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Yes, Lord, please. And while you're at it, grant me the courage to change the things that I can. The serenity to accept and the courage to change what I can change. Accept the impossible. Change the possible. Learn to live with what cannot be altered, amended, or made different, but never settle for what you absolutely can change and must improve upon. Our tendency, yes, is to stick with our neurosis, our inner insanity, thinking that we can change other people or that we can make the world go our way. But on the other side of that same coin is the danger of an acquired apathy, a learned helplessness, planning our own failure. This is just how it is, and there's nothing I can do about it. And if there was something I could do about it, I don't have the bravery to undertake the task. It is self-defeatism. It is resignation to the status quo in your life and sometimes in your own community. I was with all three of my boys for a couple of days this week, the first time in a year. And Blaze flew down all the way from Anchorage, Alaska, as the other two boys, Bryce and Braden, treated Blaze and I to a Monday night football game for our birthdays. Here we are. How great, right? It was our first visit to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, and it is a world-class, top-shelf facility if one has ever been built. And it had all that you might expect. Good seats, good food, tons of options, unbelievable technology. What I did not expect to see, however, was a giant quote from the Talmud hanging there in the rafters as you walk in the front door. Now, in Atlanta, we have plenty of room for such things in the rafters because the Falcons have no championship banners to hang up. Stop it. I knew it. The Saints fans are always here. Nonetheless, it's a quote from Hillel the Elder, a Hebrew scholar who died when Jesus would have been a young boy. It's a series of 3 soul-searching questions. And there it is, hanging there in Atlanta. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, then what am I? And if not now, when? these are truly questions about courage to change your own life and in the process contribute to a much wider change in the community around you. People always ask, when will this world change? Easy answer, never. The world doesn't change, but individual people can change. They can, if they find the personal courage to do so. And because life is so short, and because this world is so fragile, the time to find that courage is right now, not later in your life. From one Hebrew sage to another, we move from Halil to Joshua. Just a grand reading this morning that, as usual, Anna introduced perfectly. Joshua is faced with a two-headed monster. One, it falls upon him to devise and execute the Israeli battle plan upon entering the land of Canaan. This promised land was not a green, lush utopia that only required walking through a turnstile to get it. What would follow would be a horrific Iron Age, frightening, extended military campaign. Courage would be required. When my middle son Bryce was at basic training, becoming a soldier himself, I mailed him a Bible with these very words highlighted for him to read. And I know that he read these verses during those challenging days at boot camp because he wrote back and thanked me for the $100 bill that I'd used as a bookmark to the page. And just on cue, there comes my son now. $100 can go a long way at the PX. But I think the more hideous monster that Joshua faced was succession. Now clearly he was a trusted military operative. He had proved that over many years. But he was now the anointed and appointed leader of his people, succeeding the great chain breaker and lawgiver Moses himself. Moses had led the nation for 40 years, 4 decades, calling down plagues on Egypt, bringing water miraculously from desert rocks, going up on the mountain to talk to God personally. No one had ever seen such things before. And this was the only leader that everyone living had ever known, and Joshua is now his successor. Would he be able to lead with the same skill, the same gravitas that Moses had led with, Moses who had been his mentor and his teacher? Could he hold the nation together at this most pivotal moment in their history? Would he be able to be the one to literally lead them into the promised land? That's a lot of question marks. And that's a lot of space for a whole lot of fear and trembling. God knows. And yes, God knows. God knows that we are prone to fear. And that those fears just devour us inside. So much so that the most repeated commandment in all the Bible, exceeding all others 10 to 1, is fear not. The most repeated commandment in the Bible. And that's what Joshua gets. He gets this divine telegram, this heavenly message. And while there are a bunch of words there, there's only one theme: courage. Be strong and courageous, verse 6. Be strong and very courageous, verse 7. This is my commandment: be strong and courageous, verse 9. And if we kept reading to verse 18, it would get repeated one more time: be strong and courageous. I think we are dealing with a man, a good man, a skilled man, a highly capable man, whose insecurities and fears are eating away at him. He's genuinely afraid. So God comes to ease those fears. You've got this. You can do this. You must do this. And you already have everything you need. So go steady on. I'll go with you, and you will see that you can do more than you think you can. As Zeke said to Dorothy, and the wizard said to the lion, all it takes is a little courage. What is courage exactly? Well, like serenity, so interesting, it is an old French word as well. Cœur or corps, the French word for heart, for the core of the person. When somebody's down and out and you're trying to encourage them, have you ever said to them, have a little heart? Take a little heart. Put your heart into it. That's the original meaning of courage. It wasn't about gallantry or bravery or audacity, pardon my French, but the essence of it meant more or less to give a damn. Care about something. Give yourself to something that you can do something with. You have to act from the heart. Now, there are plenty of people who feel it in their hearts, who care in their hearts, but if they don't act, it's just short-circuited apathy. When we act from the heart, we find strength, we find power, we find some backbone, we find courage. And this doesn't eliminate or alleviate our fears. No, sir, no, ma'am. Courage simply gives us the resolve to act in the face of our fears. Courage is not the lack of fear. It's doing what you can do, what you must do, in spite of your fears. Back to the cowardly lion. Later in the movie, Dorothy has been taken captive by the wicked witch. You remember. She is held inside this giant fortress with high walls and chanting guards and those creepy flying monkeys. Whose imagination did that come from? And it's the lion who makes the final decision to rescue Dorothy. Her three saviors outside the walls, and this is what the cowardly lion says. All right, I'll go in there. I'll go in for Dorothy. Wicked witch or no wicked witch. Guards or no guards. I'll tear them apart. I may not come out alive, but I'm going in there. There's only one thing I want you fellas to do. And the Tin Man and the Scarecrow ask him, what's that? And he answers, talk me out of it. But still he goes. And that is courage. That's what courage is. His heart goes out to her, and there is something he can do to change this situation, so his heart compels his feet to follow, even if he's trembling the whole way. And so it is for all of us. C.S. Lewis said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can begin right now to change the ending. And that takes courage. So think about what you can change if you find the courage to do so. You can change your relationship. You can have the courage, if you would, to see a therapist or talk to someone if that would help, if you're brave enough to look inside. Have the courage to move on from a relationship. I know that's not what I'm supposed to say in church. For too long, the church has demanded that people, particularly women, stay in a relationship that is dangerous, degrading, violent, or unsafe. You have no obligation to someone who is a threat to your life. I don't mind saying that. Find the courage to escape that prison and create a new life. You can change your own attitude. You really can. You can change your own mind. Can't change anybody else's, but you can change yours. You can change your career path. You can change your educational level. You can change your routine. You can change your diet, change your health. You can change where you live. You can change your habits and your dependencies. But I hope you notice that of all these changes that can be made, they have nothing to do with changing other people. They are all changes we make for ourselves and within ourselves. Like that old spiritual we used to sing in the Baptist church, it's not my brother, it's not my sister, it's not my mother, it's not my father, but it's me, O Lord, standing in the need of prayer. And change works the exact same way. It's easy to sit and think how other people are doing it wrong. and what you would do if you were in charge of those people. You're not in charge of anybody. And often what other people are doing is none of your business. And what other people think of you is none of your business either. Think on that one later today. But you have the power to change yourself. But you're not going to walk on water till you get out of the boat. You're going to have to act. We all, like the cowardly lion, have internal insecurities, negative voices that shout from the basement of our hearts to keep us afraid. And just like Joshua, we all have challenges that seem insurmountable, impossible to overcome. And this combination of inner and outer roadblocks can keep you paralyzed. I know that. But there is a God-given strength within us that can empower us to get moving. And it won't mean you won't be afraid. Courage is not a feeling. Courage is action. Courage isn't big talk and bravado. Courage is doing. Courage isn't having nothing to be afraid of. Courage is being afraid but trying it anyway. Courage isn't a miraculous external cure. It's discovering that you already have what you need to make the necessary changes in your life. Isn't that what the wonderful Wizard of Oz tells Dorothy and all of her traveling companions when they reach the end of the journey? You've always had what you needed to obtain what you required. What does Dorothy want on her trip to the Emerald City? To go home, which is a valid ambition for anybody, right? I want to go home. And she had the capacity to go home the entire time. All she had to do was click those little ruby slippers and off she goes to Kansas. But she did not know that. And she's told, you would not have believed us if we had told you at the beginning. She had to walk the path in order to discover that she already possessed what she wanted. The scarecrow wants a brain. He doesn't get a brain from the wizard. He gets a diploma, a doctorate of thinkology, if you remember. Hands it to him. He didn't need a brain. He was already the smartest guy on the road. He's always the one solving the problems. And then the Tin Man wants a heart. He doesn't get a heart either. He gets a little clock that gets tagged to his chest that ticks instead of beats. And he really didn't need a heart. He's already the most emotional and the most caring individual on the road. He's forever crying, and they're having to spray WD-40 on him to keep him from seizing up all the gears. And then you come to the lion. And the wizard says, as to you, my friend, you are a victim of disorganized thinking. See, I told you we were all crazy. He's been confused the entire time, thinking that fear is the opposite of courage. It's not. Inaction is the opposite of courage. Doing nothing about what you can do something about is the opposite of courage. So the wizard pulls from his carpet bag a medal. For meritorious conduct, extraordinary valor, conspicuous bravery against wicked witches, I award you the Triple Cross. You are now a member of the Legion of Courage. And the wizard kisses the lion right on the face. And the medal says courage on it. And the medal is useless because the lion had already found the courage that was within him to act. It was the journey that drew it out and made him brave. I'll finish up with just a few words from Dr. James Hollis. I've said before that Hollis is, for me, the most insightful, the wisest, the most accurate assessor of human nature alive today. He's dense, he's sometimes difficult, but he's excruciatingly accurate, and he's worthy of the time you give to listen to him or to read him. I'll tell you the single lesson before I get to the quote. The single greatest lesson that Hollis is teaching me is that most of us really don't know how to live our lives. We just don't know how. We do what everybody else wants us to do, but we haven't discovered the true self within us that is accountable to God and creation for our gifts to live the life that we have been blessed with. And he says life is tragic not because it ends, that life is tragic because some of us will never find the courage to actually live. And I'll quote directly for him. We all have to show up. Throw yourself into it. Find the courage and the persistence to live your life as best you can in a world that may or may not cooperate. We are here to bring our best selves to this troubled orb plunging through oceans of space. We are called to show up as our own flawed, clunky, awkward selves, but as ourselves. The outstanding question is whether or not we can mobilize our courage to be. For that is the only matter over which we have any measure of control. Yes, it's an extraordinarily difficult thing to do, but it's worse if we never learn to truly live.